Happy New Year and welcome to a very special episode. I'm your host, Candace, and before we get started, let's give a festive shout out to everyone at Lawrence Tech. Their new varsity esports team is looking for players, so please go to l2athletics.com to find out how you can recruit yourself. We also want to show some love to Hungry Howie's Pizza for all of their help this year in bringing our show to you. Visit hungryhowies.com for contactless delivery from the home of the original Flavor Crust Pizza. It was truly a one-of-a-kind year that won't be soon forgotten for a number of reasons, but we did have a lot of fun here despite all the craziness. So let's take a look back at some of the highlights. We are downtown Detroit at Replay Cafe for their friends and family soft opening. Everything looks really cool here, so let's go check it out.
Right now I'm on 3 hours of sleep, I think. I went to sleep at 6 a.m. and so did Alex. He slept here. I'm happy. I was really nervous because I said to him last night, I don't know who's gonna be here. The official grand opening, I'm gonna softball it, maybe January, because we're gonna call this right now our beta build. And the idea is to get people in here, find out what they like, find out what they don't like. Around January, we'll have some kind of big party and really go all out. But for right now, it's just casual, bring people in, enjoy it, let us know what you think.
It's interesting to see something like this in the Detroit area. There's computers, there's retro games, there's arcade games, there's everything here. These computers are top of the line. They're even better than the computer I have at home.
Ready Player One's back open now, but Off-World specifically, they've had to stay closed because of their tight space, which, you know, when they're open, fantastic. But now they have a warehouse full of hundreds of games that they're not using, and we have 5,000 square feet. So we got in contact with the guy. We tagged him on Instagram and he responded. He came out here the next day. And now we've got some cabinets here. We're talking to Psychic Drive, who've worked with Mopop. Maybe getting some candy cabs in here, some stuff like that, and just giving these things a home while everyone's locked out of their space, basically, by the pandemic. First big event's going to be a partnership with Come Play Detroit. They do a lot of, maybe the term would be intramural sports in the city. They do like volleyball and basketball, but they also want to break into esports, so they're doing a Madden league. And it's going to go to, I think, the first week of January with a Super Bowl event. We're going to do playoffs. I just hope they have fun. I hope we can have a place for people to do something like that, because I don't know if there's anything like it, so.
We had so much fun here today at Replay Cafe. They have tons of future events planned, so make sure to get online, get out to Detroit, and check it out for yourself. Last week we spotlighted the next generation console, PlayStation 5, so this time we decided to go all the way back to where the home market started. In 1972, Magnavox released the Odyssey, which holds the title as the first ever console. However, the Atari 2600 is the system that brought home video games to the masses.
Have you played Atari today?
Debuting in 1977, the gaming console eventually sold over 30 million units. Let's take a look at the biggest selling games for the 2600. Coming in at number 5 is Space Invaders, which sold 2 million copies and is based on the extremely popular Bally video arcade game. Considered one of the best ports of that era, the gameplay on this masterpiece still holds up today.
Attention all generals. Now you can get your own Atari Missile Command video game.
The 4th biggest selling Atari game is Missile Command. The game sold 2.5 million cartridges and was based on one of Atari's many successful arcade games. The Cold War concept of protecting cities from nuclear destruction is extremely dark, but is also extremely fun. Another Atari port ranks 3rd.
You're a starship captain in an asteroid field.
Released for the 2600 in 1981, Asteroids went on to sell 3.8 million copies. The home version of the game replaced the stark black and white vector images for color graphics, but left the pulse-pounding rapid-fire gameplay. The second biggest selling game for the Atari 2600 is the only one in the top 5 created specifically for the home system.
Just last night, I was lost in the jungle with Pitfall Harry.
Pitfall, which was actually the only game cartridge not made by Atari on the list. It was designed and programmed by several disgruntled Atari employees who left to form their own company, Activision, making them the original third-party developer. The Pitfall game is also considered groundbreaking for creating the side-scrolling format. 4 million copies were sold, but the impact of this game and the company go far beyond the money made.
Only Atari makes the Pac-Man home video game, and you can only play it on an Atari video game system.
Ironically, the biggest selling Atari 2600 game is considered by many to be one of the worst. Pac-Man was released for the home console at the same time as Pitfall and would ultimately sell a whopping 7.7 million copies. Unfortunately, the 2600 version doesn't look or sound anything like the original. The popularity of the Atari version relies solely on the gigantic success of the Namco arcade version, which is still considered one of the highest grossing games of all time. Anyone who wants to learn more about the Atari 2600 can head over to our YouTube channel and check out our playlist featuring live streams of the games we've just discussed, plus many others. The online game platform and game creation system Roblox has over 164 million monthly active users, and over half are under 16 years old. We spoke to a Roblox fanatic to find out what makes it so good.
Don't you dare block me. Boing! Hello, I am Bruno and I go to Royal Oak Middle School, and my favorite game is Roblox. I've been playing Roblox since the beginning of 2016. Well, I was watching my favorite YouTuber, DanTDM, and he played this new game that I never heard of called Roblox. So I thought I'd give it a try. Well, I loved it. It was like, there's a different type of game for everyone.
Oh, she has the code. Come on, right here, right there, right there, come on.
You can build games and you can play games. You can do both. So I'm building a game called Criminal Masters. There are cops and there are robbers. You can rob this bank. I can show you. You can see the lasers kind of peer out onto the ground. That's gonna be fixed when the game's fully out though. When you make a game, you can send it to your friends, or other people could just come across it and play it. Making games is absolutely free. It's more like you're gonna get money for making a game, because if people buy game passes, you get Robux. Robux is like Roblox's way of virtual currency. I like building the games because it's learning about like coding and all sorts of stuff. It helps you with a lot of things that you're gonna need in the future. I'm trying to get out of here with a trampoline. All right, Ethan! You can play with your friends, you can play with family, you can play with anybody. Then if there's a stranger, you can block them. I can only play with people I know in real life. Well, I got hacked randomly one day. The person changed the password, which kicks me out of the account. You should be careful with your Roblox account and turn on two-step verification.
Yo! That's why it's called Nuketown, baby.
Yes, I do recommend playing Roblox for everyone who's watching this. It's such a fun game. You guys can do anything in it, literally anything.
Jackson gonna take it himself. Spins inside the 5. Dives for the end zone. Touchdown, Ravens!
For gamers who were around to see the first rudimentary attempts at a digital translation of America's favorite sport, today's Madden video games would literally blow their minds. But designers had to start somewhere, right? And that distinction goes to 1972's simply titled Football for the Magnavox Odyssey home console. The very first football arcade game didn't come along until a decade later. 10-Yard Fight offered a huge advancement in graphics, but the gameplay remained very basic. Unlike the first PC game, 1985's NFL Challenge, which allowed players to act as a coach and run plays selected from a series of menus, the outcome of the plays was determined by the strength and weaknesses of the competing teams. The real game changer in these early days was Tecmo Bowl, which made its debut in the arcade but reached peak popularity on the Nintendo Entertainment System. Tecmo Bowl was the first console game that partnered with the NFL, so you could pick your favorite players of that era, like my personal favorite, Bo Jackson. The game also blended exciting gameplay with offensive and defensive play calling during the course of an entire season. In 1988, right on the heels of Tecmo Bowl, came the very first iteration of Madden football from Electronic Arts. The game offered unprecedented customization, but was limited by the lack of both an NFL license and the ability to play a full season. The turning point came when the sequel was developed for the 16-bit Sega Genesis and arcade action was prioritized. The game went on to sell almost 500,000 copies and ensured a future for the long-lasting franchise. The 90s saw an explosion of football games, and one of the best was NCAA football. The series began as Bill Walsh College Football in '93 and was developed by EA as a complement to their Madden series. NCAA football included many unique features, including Dynasty Mode, recruiting, and included archaic offenses like the triple option. The series ran until 2014 when the NCAA decided not to renew the license due to a legal dispute with college players. The winner of the most controversial football game ever goes to NFL Blitz from Midway, which was the home of Mortal Kombat. So it should be no surprise that the Blitz series featured over-the-top extreme violence. The NFL, however, was not happy, and some of the more disturbing elements, like the vicious late hits, were toned down. After 9 different games were released, the original series came to an end when the NFL gave an exclusive license to EA. And now, what many consider to be the greatest game, ESPN NFL 2K5.
3rd and goal.
Sega launched the series in 1999 for their Dreamcast, and by 2004, they were the only real competition facing Madden. In a bold move, Sega slashed the price of their game in half, but it ultimately backfired as EA moved to secure an exclusive deal with the NFL to protect their franchise and effectively end all competition for Madden. Today, football gaming has even entered into the world of esports with the Madden Challenge, where professional gamers go head-to-head for serious cash and, of course, the championship belt. Who would have ever predicted anything like this? What a long, strange journey it's been.
We kick this week's episode off with a look at one of our Rocket League teams, an all-girl rookie squad from Royal Oak High School.
Wait, no, do you want to do like a specific one?
It doesn't matter to me.
Let's do that one that we did last time. That one was pretty.
Yeah, just don't do the one that has you can go around the goal, because I don't like that.
Oh yeah, I won't do that.
I'm Lydiana, and my username is rekid7221. The first time I ever played was literally like 2 days before the tournament.
I'm gonna be on blue, and I'm not gonna win. I can guarantee you.
I like it.
Wimalali is Sexy Grape. I started playing Rocket League, I played 2 times last year, and then I started actually playing when the tournament started.
My name is Lily Wineclaw. My name on the game is Clawgirl1210. I think I started playing in 7th grade or something like that, and then I stopped playing, and then I just recently started playing again.
Hi, I'm Taylor Beaufort, and my username is Great Striker. I started playing in 7th grade, and then I recently started playing again for these tournaments.
My favorite part is probably me raging. I'm just kidding. But actually, my favorite part is probably just playing with my friends and getting in to talk to them and how bad we are. But it's okay. It's fun. It's fun when we play against each other. So
I think it's a good learning experience, and I think it's fun to get better together.
I think it's cool to play with other people from different schools and getting to play with your friends. You can really work on your skills.
Girls should definitely play because we would have a better chance, maybe.
Yeah.
And also, we could have a girl team that wins too, and that would be so exciting. I'd be yes!
I encourage girls to play because girl power. Girls should play, and it can't be an only guys game, so.
We gotta break the stereotype,
Yep.
For the last couple of weeks, we've been playing some classic games for the Sega Genesis. The console was released in North America back in 1989 by Sega, who was known for the arcade hits Frogger and Zaxxon. The Sega Genesis offered edgier, more mature games to compete with the family-friendly Nintendo, which dominated the scene at the time.
Sonic 2 fits easily into any tackle box. Made from a space-age polymer plastic for years of family fun, and pets love it too. Buy the Sega Genesis that comes with Sonic 1 and get Sonic 2 free.
So far on our Twitch series, we've played Altered Beast, Earthworm Jim, Tetris, Street Fighter 2, Castlevania Bloodlines, Road Rash 2, Ghouls and Ghosts, and more. On each episode, we give out gameplay tips, drop some game knowledge, and just have a whole lot of fun. Of course, we'll get around to the Sonic games, which were easily the most popular games for the console. Let us know which games you'd like to see us play by dropping your suggestions in the comments. The legacy of Sega Genesis is still felt today and is considered one of the best video gaming systems of all time by gaming historians. If you came of age in the 90s, then you should really check out this series. We'll also repost all of the streams on our Facebook page and YouTube channel after they go live on Twitch.
So I'm Danielle Sarikis, and I am the new head coach of Esports. Well, I love video games. I also love sports, traditional sports, and I love coaching. So I really want to make a difference in other people's lives. Didn't even realize it was something that I could do in my career. Watching esports on TV and the pros, it's very much an experience, much like I think of the beginning of a basketball game. And I think once people see that and understand it, then they'll know what esports is about. So I love Rocket League. Really, it's the easiest to understand, but I'm definitely a first-person shooter girl. I really like PUBG, but it's not really a well-known game, and I think it kind of fell off to the wayside, and Fortnite really overshadowed it. I already knew going in, because I am a female gamer, I already knew I was part of the minority in that sense. I think that the strength would be that I can draw in some female gamers, so we'd have more of, hopefully, a more diverse than just men team. But we're offering a scholarship to play for the esports team, just like any traditional athletics. And then you'd also would receive and see if you qualified for merit scholarships. It's been a lot of planning. It's going to take a lot of planning. And also talking to the club team and seeing what they are playing and what their interests are, and on campus as well.
It was recently announced that the 1983 cult film The Last Starfighter will be getting a newly restored Blu-ray release this October. The sci-fi action comedy tells the story of an arcade game master recruited to fight in an interstellar war. The news got us thinking about our favorite Hollywood hits that feature fictional gamers.
Who's that guy? That's Tron.
Tron is considered the first film about the video game industry and also features the first use of digital animation. Kevin Flynn is a hacker played by Academy Award winner Jeff Bridges, who gets digitalized and pulled inside a computer. The movie was not a big hit, but it spawned one of the best ever arcade games and kicked off the whole video game movie genre. Due to a demand by fans, a follow-up sequel, Tron Legacy, was made 28 years later.
Shall we play a game?
In 1983, the Cold War thriller War Games played upon the threat of nuclear annihilation as a young Matthew Broderick unknowingly almost starts World War III by hacking into the US government's missile defense system. War Games was one of the biggest moneymakers of the year and earned several Academy Award nominations. The Wizard came out in 1989. It's about 3 youngsters who travel cross-country to play at a Nintendo tournament in Los Angeles.
I love the Power Glove. It's so bad.
At the time, it was criticized for being little more than a cheesy promotion for the game Super Mario Bros. 3. But over the years, late 80s nostalgia has turned this into a cult favorite, earning it a deluxe Blu-ray release earlier this year. No list of great movies about gaming would be complete without Wreck-It Ralph from 2012.
If I'm really honest with myself,
sure must be nice being the good guy.
Bro, you are bad guy, but this does not mean you're bad guy.
I don't want to be the bad guy anymore.
The animated classic takes the premise of Tron to the next level by imagining what the inner life of video game characters is like. It's loaded with tons of old school game references, and you can tell the filmmakers are massive video game fans. Wreck-It Ralph is streaming now on Disney+. No one really wanted a sequel to the beloved Robin Williams movie Jumanji, so it was a shock when 2017's Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle came out. It was an action-packed comedy with heart that broke box office records. A large part of the success was based on shifting the original board game's coming-to-life premise to putting the new characters into a Jumanji video game ripe with all the industry cliches like bad cutscenes, one-dimensional avatars, and more.
That old game machine must have electrocuted us, and now we're... Oh my God!
And last on our list is the 2018 Steven Spielberg blockbuster Ready Player One, based on the best-selling novel of the same name. The hit movie manages to capture the greatness of the original 8-bit generation of games, as well as the exciting potential of VR and emerging technology.
There's nowhere left to go. Nowhere. Except the Oasis.
Hey, this is Mark at the Great Lakes Comic-Con. I'm here with Jeff Lee, the guy that started the character Q*bert. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
So tell me, how did you get into doing video games?
I had a friend named Richard Tracy who was art director at D. Gottlieb and Company Pinball. All the pinball companies were in Chicago area. And that's where I grew up. And he was art directing there. They decided, like most of the pinball companies at that time, to go into the video game business, which was the common thing. So he knew I was a gamer, and he asked me if I wanted to be the video graphics artist for their new division.
So how did you come up with the idea for the character Q*bert?
I was a big fan of MC Escher, the Dutch artist, and he did a lot of optical illusions and that sort of thing. So I was familiar with the tessellated cubes, which is predates him actually. It was inevitable that I would put that up onto a screen because I had previously been rendering that kind of stuff on paper. Once it was up on a screen, the programmers looked at it. We thought, oh, this should be a game. So Warren Davis took the cubes, and we had a pyramid. And he did a programming exercise where the balls would fall down and they'd go one way or the other. It was a very binary concept. And then he asked, oh, do you have some little character jump on the cube? So that's where Q*bert came from. But he didn't have that name at that point. So he was just a round guy with a big nose. My original concept was he would shoot boogers out of the nose. Hence the early name Snots and Boogers. But Warren was classier than that and said, no, we're just going to have him jump around.
First an arcade game, now my own home video game. I'm ready for anything.
Did you ever think that this game would stand the test of time as it does?
We didn't really think about that, so I suppose we didn't. We're quite surprised and very pleased years later that it's gotten a lot of love from retro gamers over the years. It's a big part of their youth in many cases. And then when those people grew up and became collectors or artists or programmers themselves or went into animation business, here Q*bert would appear on like Family Guy or Simpsons and so on. And then later when he was tapped for Wreck-It Ralph and Pixels, it was like he was introduced to a whole new generation.
What's he saying, Felix?
Stand by, my Q*bertese is a little rusty.
So Warren and I and David Thiel, who did the great audio, we're all just amazed and really pleased and touched by all that.
So what have you been doing lately? What do you got coming down the pipeline?
Well, I've been kind of touring this retro gamer circuit, which I had never imagined existed. So I've been creating posters and books and wrote a memoir about those times. I've been working on some game ideas. There's a young man who loves the 80s, and so he's doing one of my ideas, and so maybe a year from now, Mark, we'll have something. We're going to do some riffs, I think, on Qbert, but do something in that vein.
Sounds fun. Anyways, Jeff, it was a pleasure talking to you, and
nice talking to you, Mark.
This is Mark at the Great Lakes Comic-Con.
And that wraps it up for this look back at 2020. We can't wait to bring you even more of these stories in 2021. Before we go, don't forget to sign up your team for our Overwatch Winter Tournament at our website, statechampsesports.net. The registration deadline is January 4th, and the competition kicks off on January 18th. We'll be back next week with the first episode of the year and an all-new show.